I built a 6-person marketing team inside Claude, and here's the whole system. Okay, so you're doing the job of 4 people: content, campaigns, reporting, research, all of it, all on you, all week, with less budget every single quarter. That's not a workload problem you can fix by simply working harder. So stop trying. And I built a team to do it with me. 6 roles inside of Claude and me running them. I'll show you the whole system and the one layer that decides whether you run the team or whether the team quietly runs you. And that last layer is where most people lose it. So we'll close there. Before we get to what this is, here's the one decision you can make right now. Which role to build first? So don't start with the flashy one. Start with the work that eats your week and barely needs your brain. The reports you rebuild every single Monday. The research you redo for every single account you're targeting. Whatever you hand a junior hire on day 1, that's your first role. So make that list now while I'll walk you through the rest. That's your build order. First, what this actually is, because AI marketing team gets thrown around like magic and it simply just isn't. It's 2 things working together in perfect harmony. First, skills. Those are the expertise, your research process, your messaging frameworks, the way you read a campaign. Talk to Claude just once so it runs the same way every single time. And roles. Those are the team members, each one owning a function and pulling from that shared expertise. Skills are the playbook and the roles are the players. And the reason you build separate roles instead of throwing everything at one Claude window is focus. One Claude trying to be your researcher, your writer, and your analyst in the same breath gets worse at all 3, same as any human being would. Give each one a lane and a job, the work gets sharper. Building this is 4 moves and none of them are technical. Map what you actually do out every single week. Turn each repeatable process or piece into a Claude skill. Group those skills into a handful of focused roles. Then connect the roles so they know who does what and when to hand off. That's it. That's the system. And here's why that structure matters to you. Not just into a diagram. Let's imagine this. A team with clear lanes is one you can trust to run without you having to babysit every single step. A pile of prompts you have to micromanage isn't leverage. It's actually a second job. Roles are what turn AI from a tool you operate into a team that operates for you. So let me walk you through mine. Quick reason I trust this setup. A few years back, I had to scale an ABM operation from a few hundred target accounts to several thousand. More than 5 times the actual coverage. Every program that scales sets the same wall. It tends to start sounding generic. The accounts stop feeling targeted, the engagement for the campaign creators, and sales stops trusting those leads. So we didn't have time to add those 5 people. We held the engagement rate around about 40% across 5 of those accounts. And the only way that's possible is you stop doing the work by hand and start building the system that does it for you the same way every time at scale. And that's the whole idea here. A team inside of Claude that isn't about replacing your specific judgment. It's only about scaling everything that's not your judgment. So you want the only thing that you spend time on are making decisions and those big brain ideas. So here's the team. 1 is the researcher. Build this one first because it pays for the entire system. Think about how research actually happens for you now. A new account lands or a launch gets greenlit and you lose half a day on competitor sites, on their pricing pages, the GT reviews, the prospects' last earnings calls, 3 analyst PDFs. You have 15 tabs open, and at the end, you got a vague feel and a half-finished document. So the researcher does that entire dig and hands you back a very structured read. It can tell you who the players are, how they're positioned, what's shifting in the category, and even for a specific account, what it's signaling and what it means for you specifically. It could do this in minutes, not in an afternoon. And the what's in it for you, that half day you used to have all those tabs open, that's gone. But that's only the small part. The real payoff is that every other role now starts from a real read instead of just a guess. Weak research in, generic campaign. Nail this one and you raise the floor on everything the team produces after that. Role 2 is the strategist. This is the role everyone skips, and skipping it is why most AI marketing is garbage. The researcher tells you what's true. The strategist decides what to do about it. People wire AI up to crank out posts and emails with no decision layer underneath, and it produces a mountain of confident, on-brand nothing. So essentially activity that goes nowhere. The strategist takes the researcher's read and makes the calls. And here's the angle that's actually open. Here's the segment we go after. Here's the one message we're going to win on. And here's what we're deliberately not saying. And here's what's in it for you. This is the role that aims the whole team. And without that, you own a very fast content machine pointed at the wrong direction. But with this role, every asset the writer and builder produce is in service of one decision you made and on purpose. And that's the line between shipping garbage and shipping an actual viable campaign. Role 3 is the writer. And this is where the team beats 5 separate prompts. On your own, you can write the email in one chat, the landing copy in another chat, and the ad in the third chat. And they come back in 3 slightly different voices, none of which quite match the brief. So you become the human consistency checker, rewriting everyone's copy to make it sound like one person and one voice. So the writer works off the strategist plan we just talked about. So it produces the whole campaign as one voice with one message. That includes the nurture email, the landing page hero, the social ad copy. They're all saying the same thing the same way because they all inherited the same decision. And here's the what's in it for you. You stop policing tone across 10 different assets. The message holds without you in the middle of it. And you go from writing and rewriting to simply reviewing. The 4th role is the analyst. You met this one in the skills video I did a while back. But on a team, it does a job it can't do alone. It simply closes the loop. The first 4 roles are push, they all great. The analyst is the pull. The campaign ships, and instead of vanishing into a dashboard that nobody actually opens, the analyst role reads what actually happened and comes back with a verdict. What worked, what to kill, and what to scale. And that verdict becomes the next brief the researcher and the strategist actually get to work from. And here's why it matters to you. Your team stops being a one-way content factory and becomes a loop that gets smarter and smarter every single cycle. And almost everyone's AI setup produces and forgets. Yours produces, measures, and adjusts, which is the only version that actually compounds over a year instead of just simply making you faster this week. The 5th role is the builder. On the team, it's the production line at the end of the chain. And here's what makes it a team member and not simply a tool. By the time the work reaches the builder, the researcher has the facts, the strategist has the decision, and the writer has the voice. So the builder's assembling the finished package. The deck, the landing page, the one-pager, the sequence is coherent with all of it, not just a guess. And here's why that matters to you. The week of back and forth between you, the writer, and design collapses into one afternoon of you just reviewing a finished draft. You stop assembling work and you go to start simply approving work. And the 6th role nobody talks about is you, the operator. You're not watching from outside. You're the role that decides what the team is even pointed at, which call is yours and which you hand off, what's good enough to actually leave the building. That sounds soft until you see what happens without it, which is exactly where this goes next. Because it's the entire difference between a team and a very, very expensive mess. But a roster isn't a team, you say. The magic isn't just any one role, it's what happens when you hand them something big and they all get to work together. So picture a real one. You're launching a campaign, say a new product into a new segment. Normally that's 2 weeks of work, including brief research, brief strategy, hand the copy to a writer, route creative to the design team, and chase everyone around and try to stitch it all together. In this world, in this example, you hand the whole thing to your team as one task, and Claude runs it like your actual team lead. It sends the researcher to pull all the segment intelligence. It hands to the strategist, who then sets the positioning and the angle. The strategist's plan goes over to the writer and the builder, who produce the actual campaigns, meaning the emails, social media posts, and all the creative. Everything is pulled from the same strategy, so nothing contradicts. Then the analyst sets up how you'll measure it, and it lands on one place, connected in the time it used to take just to schedule the kickoff. And here's the part that's hard to believe until you watch it in action. You didn't tell it how to split the work. You gave it a goal, and your team figured out who does what, in what order, and where to hand it off. That's not 5 tools opening 5 tabs. That's an actual operation running. Which brings me back to that 6th role, you. And the thing that separates an operator from someone who just switched on a pile of agents. And here's the hard truth. A team that runs without you ain't gonna run for long. It'll produce confidently wrong work at scale. It'll go generic exactly where you need an edge. It doesn't know which of these accounts your CEO actually cares about, or that legal will kill that claim, or that the safe positioning is going to be the one that actually loses. That's not the team's job, that's yours. So the control layer is in 3 calls you never, ever hand off. And that's the strategic bet, what you're actually trying to win, the whole thing the team points at, and the judgment, which output is good enough to ship and which is confidently wrong. And then the line, what survives your brand, your legal, your reality before it ever leaves the building. Delegate everything else, but keep those to yourself. And here's a reframe that matters for your career, and I'm gonna say it straight because the numbers already do. Marketing job postings dropped about 8% last year, and AI now handles up to 65% of the actual marketing tasks. So AI didn't make the marketer who runs a team less valuable, it made the one who only does the task replaceable. And the one who runs judgment over a team is the most valuable person in the building. And that's the job that's expanding. That's the one you want to be in. So back to the list. The work that eats your week and barely needs your brain. That's role 1. Build it, then the next, until the team carries everything that is not your judgment, and your judgment is the only thing left on your plate. That's not a smaller job. That's a senior one. So a team that produces is one thing. The real question is whether it can move the number that actually matters. So next I'll show you how you do that exactly, how I use this team to build a full quarter pipeline in a single weekend. That's the next one. I'll see you there.